welcome back. Today we're going to learn the second traps in the subject-verb agreement question called the inversion. Let's solve the sentence in the screen. What is the answer to this question? The answer is plural are. And this is because the subject of the sentence is not the valley, not the world, but two animals. And here's what's interesting. Did you notice that the verb came before the subject? This concept is called the inversion, where the sentence order is reversed. So instead of writing the subject first and then the verb, the order becomes verb and the subject. Let's compare two sentences in the screen. The boy was in the car, and in the car was the boy. And as you can see in the second example, the order of subject and the verb has been reversed. So our next question is, why do writers use inversion? And it's actually simple, and you often see it in literature, especially in poetry. The main purpose of using inverted sentences or inversion is to emphasize. If you compare two sentences in the screen, in the depth of the sea sleeps the monster, and the monster sleeps in the depth of the sea. In the first sentence, the emphasis lands on the word depth instead of the monster. So here the writer is emphasizing where the monster lives and how deep the monster lives, perhaps to create fear or tension. In the second sentence, the monster sleeps in the depth of the sea. The writer is just simply emphasizing the existence of the monster itself. In the writing test, there are about 4 common inversions that we have to know, and among them, the most important one is this one, beginning a sentence with prepositional phrase. And although we'll talk about it briefly here, I'll be making a whole new lesson entirely on this concept itself because it's very interesting and important. But for today, let's just learn the basics. Common inversion number 1, the one that we're already familiar with, is beginning a sentence with the word there. For instance, in the sentence, there was a girl, the subject here is the word girl, not the word there. Likewise, in the sentence, there was a kingdom, the subject here is the word kingdom. Common inversion number 2, and the most important one, beginning a sentence with preposition. Preposition refers to words like in, on, under, in between. For example, in the sentence, in the sea lives a monster, it's easy to assume that the word sea is the subject, but you have to understand that the word sea cannot be the subject because it's part of a modifier beginning with the preposition in. In other words, any word or noun that is part of a modifier cannot become the subject. In this sentence, the subject is the word monster. And this is just another way of writing a monster lived in the sea with emphasis on the word sea. Common inversion number 3, beginning a sentence with a negative adverb such as never, hardly, or little. In the sentence, never have I heard such controversial news, it's just another way of writing I have never heard such controversial news with the emphasis on the word never. Common inversion number 4 is beginning a sentence with words like less or more. Sentences like less well known or his place after the relationship. It's just another way of writing his place after the relationship are less well known with added emphasis. Remember, there are 2 trap questions in the subject-verb agreement question of the writing section. First is called the gerund, and the second one is called the inversion.